Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
What's going on, Cavs fans? Welcome back to another melancholy episode of the Block the Shot the Stop. I'm Skylar Webker. He's Kevin Lynch. I think melancholy is the right word.
That's excellent word, given the mood. I mean, like, this is as blah as you can feel after a win, which we're obviously coming to you right after the Hornets game. We're going to backtrack and talk about the Thunder game too. But I mean, I don't know. Win's a win, as he said.
Exactly. Well, let's start at the Thunder game. That was kind of if we were all healthy, that was the game that we thought would be really fun if you had Darius Garland. And boy, were we right, because that game at times felt like it could have been closer. The Cavs were kind of chipping away. But then that fourth quarter, it absolutely couldn't stop anybody. They couldn't get a bucket. It was pretty dreadful in that fourth quarter. So the score doesn't really show how pretty tight the game was through and through.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I would say that the Cavs kind of hung around in striking distance, but I mean, OKC was up 15 at halftime. They, played the third quarter kind of do close to a stalemate, went into the fourth quarter down 12. But not trying to be negative, but like they were trailing by double digits all but like 44 seconds of the second half. So to me, the result was never really in doubt.
Fair. The result was always probably there, but if you're just looking and you're going to say, hey, Cavs lose 137 to 104, you think it's kind of a blowout through and through in the game. And there were a lot of competitive moments. There were a lot of things that I kind of liked about this game. We're starting to see a lot more consistent DeAndre Hunter, which is what we've been kind of calling for. Jalen Tyson coming in and giving the contributions that he had. But outside of that, kind of lackluster outside of those two.
Yeah, I mean, there's several storylines, and the first thing a lot of people will point to for the Cavs is they're missing Garland and they're missing Merrill. That's why they couldn't be competitive. OKC was missing Jalen Williams, who was an All-NBA player last year. Isaiah Hartenstein, who is a very good starting center. I mean, OKC's just in another class than the Cavs are. I mean, that's the unfortunate truth. I hate to say that and admit it, but they are a significantly better team. And if the Cavs are going to have any chance in this game, they needed to play really well. And they played, below average, I would say. And when you're playing a team that is much better than you have to get huge contributions from your stars. Mobley was solid, but not spectacular. Mitchell was bad. And he if there's one kryptonite within the Superman cape that Donovan Mitchell wears for the Cavs a lot of times, it's when he plays these super athletic, good, aggressive defensive teams. Give him trouble. OKC, Indiana in the playoff last year. There's a few Houston, and they certainly did. He was bad. He had 19 points, but it was on 5 of 18 shooting. Just really didn't get anything going the whole game.
No, really didn't. And really the only thing that the Cavs did better than OKC was rebounds and free throws. Those are about it. Is they got to the free throw line more and made a lot more of those. They out-rebounded them. But, I mean, OKC, to their credit, they are in your face defensively team, and it showed. I mean, coming away with 11 steals, 6 blocks, causing the Cavs 21 turnovers. Mm-hmm. Yikes.
Yeah, the turnovers are something I want to get into, but if you're looking for silver linings, I do think one thing the Cavs have been doing much better in the last at least 5 to 10 games is rebounding, in particular offensive rebounding, like 19 offensive rebounds in this game, 6 by Jalen Tyson, 5 by Jared Allen. They've really been hitting the offensive glass and making that a part of their offense. And I think, up until tonight's game with Charlotte, we're going to talk about really up until last 2 games, they've been playing some of their best offense of the year. And I think a contributing factor is getting those extra possessions, and some of the best time to score in the NBA is right off of an offensive rebound, whether that's with a putback or a kick out, because you can usually get wide open shots while the defense is like not organized and scrambling. And I think really turning it up on the offensive boards has been, frankly, one of the best things the Cavs have done since the calendar turned.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I mean, I don't want to be so down in the dumps about it, but this game wasn't all that inspiring. And especially when you turn the slate into the Charlotte game, which thank God they were playing Charlotte, because you said it before we got on, they would have lost to 25 teams in the league with the way that they played tonight.
Yeah. It's true. And kind of as we transition to, if we're going to transition to the Charlotte game now, kind of a hybrid of both games and the last 3 games, which includes the second win against Philadelphia. It's basically the 3 games that Darius Garland missed the whole game. They have 60 turnovers in those 3 games, 20 turnovers a game. To kind of give you an idea of how bad that is, they average 14 a game in the season, which is middle of the pack in the NBA. Portland is actually by far the worst team in the NBA, committing 16.5 turnovers a game. And the Cavs have been committing 20 a game. This team cannot take care of the ball without Darius Garland, and it has been a consistent problem. And I don't see how it's changing anytime soon.
I also don't see how it's changing. I know we keep getting closer to the trade deadline, and you see a lot of rumors of Darius Garland's name. And I think this is kind of an example of, you don't want Donovan Mitchell playing at the 1. Donovan Mitchell had 8 turnovers tonight playing at the 1. You don't, like, Donovan Mitchell needs to be at the 2. You need a ball handler. You need a playmaker at the 1. And Darius Garland is probably one of the best in the league at being that for you.
You're 100% right, but what they need is that really good ball handler, organize the offense, take care of the ball player to be on the floor. And what Darius Garland is not one of the best in the league at is being on the floor, especially this season. So I agree with you. It doesn't make sense to trade the guy who shores up what is a really big weakness for you, unless you're replacing him with someone who can do what he does and stay on the court more, or an additional ball handling guard. I mean, this is, we've talked about it a lot, but we haven't talked about it recently. This is just another area that this team really misses what Ty Jerome did for it last year. Like I think a lot gets swept up in the scoring that Ty did, and even like the assists that he made and all the pack the offense. But like, the Cavs are so good at taking care of the ball last year, and it's because they could only play Darius Garland 30 minutes because they had Ty Jerome in when he wasn't on the floor, taking care of the ball just as well, if not better, a lot of times than Garland did.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Craig Porter Jr. is filling in and he's stepping up, but even he hasn't been exceptional, I would say, in the past couple of games. He's kind of came back to earth. And I think it's a big weakness on this team. This team needs that guy, and they need a Ty Jerome again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of think that Craig Porter Jr. is not being utilized enough right now with Darius Garland out. Like, the first game he was out against Philadelphia, he had such a good game. He started the game, and then Kenny's gone more away from him these OKC and Charlotte games. Then he only played 18 minutes tonight. it was probably about the same. He played 21 against OKC, but like 4 of that 21 was when they pulled all the starters. Like, I don't think Craig Porter Jr. is nearly as good as Darius Garland or exceptional at taking care of the ball. I do think he's a lot better than most of the other options and maybe could be utilized a little bit more, because right now, Donovan Mitchell, for all of his strengths, and I don't want to talk bad about Donovan Mitchell at all, and I'm not. It's just, it's not what he's best at, is creating, taking care of the ball. He is a finisher. Like, that, you want Donovan Mitchell focused on finishing, attacking the basket, scoring, or doing little drop-off passes. That you see it when they rely on him too much to handle the ball. He is very turnover prone. Like you said, he had 8 tonight. I think he actually only had 1 against OKC, but I think he had like 5 or 6 against Philly the game before. They need to figure out a way to take better care of the ball. And it wasn't, tonight in the Charlotte game, it wasn't just Mitchell. I mean, DeAndre Hunter, for the glowing things he just said about him, was absolutely terrible. He had 4 turnovers in 13 minutes. Kenny, did he play in the second half? I know he didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Not in the fourth quarter.
I'm sorry, no. He played 6 minutes in the third quarter and was terrible and didn't get into the game in the fourth quarter. So, it's very frustrating to identify an obvious problem and not have any grasp at a solution right now, other than Darius Garland getting healthy or making a trade.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of those points. And it came out on Wendy put out there on ESPN radio today that they're saying 7 to 10 days, but it's looking longer than 7 to 10 days with Darius Garland, which the Cavs, unfortunately, just with the way that the season has gone, really don't have that luxury of, we can slide a few games and be okay. They really don't have that luxury at this point in the season.
Their margin for error is shrinking. They're now on the back half of the season, sitting before tonight's results are in. They're still sitting in a play-in spot in 7th. That may change with whatever's going on in the NBA tonight, but you're right. They don't. The margin for error is growing thinner and thinner with this team. Like, for so long, people were saying, just wait till they get healthy. They're going to go on a run. Like, the run has to start soon, because you're 45 games in now. Before you know it, you'll be 60 games. And then you're looking at, towards the end of the season, you're kind of going to be in the spot you're in. I mean, a good news for them, as we always say, they're in the East. There's not, other than Detroit, who's been fantastic, and Boston, who has been really good lately, there's a lot of teams that are either struggling or just kind of idling right now. And so all the teams are bunched up. There's still plenty of opportunity ahead of them if they can have just go on a 4 or 5 game win streak. They could all of a sudden find themselves in 3rd, 4th place in the East. But that win streak's not happening. Hasn't happened all year. So it's kind of like, starting to lose your faith for it a little bit.
Yeah, and just like you said, it takes 4 or 5 game win streak. You're right up there in it. It takes like a 3 to 4 game slide, and you're not even in a playoff position,
right? Or
a play-in position. I mean, the margin of error is not very, very wide at all.
I mean, I truly don't. I couldn't imagine them falling all the way out of the play-in. But this team, depending on what your expectations are and everything, you could already chalk the season up to a disappointment as far as the regular season is concerned. For me, if they somehow right the ship and they get a top 4 seed, I'm fine with it. And they can go into the playoffs in reasonable shape, health-wise, momentum-wise. I'm fine with that. I've adjusted my expectations to that, and all of that is still right in front of them. But yeah, man, it's gotta start sometime soon. But you're right. They're a game and a half out of 3rd, because the Knicks have been absolutely terrible ever since the Cavs played them on Christmas Day. But they're still only a game and a half out of being right back they're a half game from being back in a play-in spot. So I don't know. It's a flip of the coin right now.
They're a game and a half away from kind of sitting with the Bulls in ninth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's where their threshold is right now. So they obviously need to keep treading water at the very minimum, but they need to start stringing some wins together. And kind of brings me to the point where we've said, hey, if they could just make it to this point, we looked at January and said, man, hard game. We said if they can get to the 21st when they play Charlotte, their schedule kind of eases up a little bit. Not only just who they play, but how many games they play.
Yeah.
We've made it to that point and have improved since we've said those words. But to what you've said before we got on, I don't think it really matters who this team plays because I've yet to see a game where they were just okay. They've either been incredible and look like last year's team, or they look horrible.
Or honestly, a lot of both in the same game.
Yeah.
Going back to tonight's game against Charlotte, the first 9 minutes of the game was the best we've seen them play in a long time. They go up 29-8. They looked absolutely dominant. You think they're going to run away with the game. And then from there on, Charlotte ends up outscoring them by 14 the rest of the game. It's just they happen to play so well that first 9 minutes that it was enough to beat a bad Charlotte team. I mean, and it's the same old thing with the Cavs. Almost 50% of their shot were from three tonight. They're 8 for 40 from three tonight. They rebounded the ball really, like you said, really well, but there were so many rebounds available. And this happened another game recently because both teams shot under 40% from the field. If there was one thing, and we can totally move on from the Charlotte game after this, I will say, to cap it with a positive, I thought it was the best rim protection defense I've seen them play in a long time.
I would agree.
Centered around Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley ended up with more blocks, but I thought Jared was all over the place, altering shots, and thought he was fantastic on the defensive end. Even like Dean Wade and Craig Porter Jr. like just contributing with rim defense. That was that. If you're looking for a silver lining from tonight's game, that was it. And if they can combine that kind of, defense, defending the rim with, some of the better offense that we'd seen before the last couple of games, then maybe they can, get the ship going straight for a little bit.
I would agree that the defensive presence was a lot better in this game. And maybe it looks better because you're playing Charlotte, but it looked better.
Yeah, I think that I think playing Charlotte was a lot to do with it. But like Charlotte, even tonight can make labs, and the Cavs were not giving them good opportunities at all. As I said, Mobley did he have like 5 blocks or something? I saw. But I thought Jared he might have altered 10 shots at the rim tonight. I thought he was fantastic.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Man, I mean, I'm looking at Charlotte's shooting numbers and just so bad. 17% from three, 34% from the floor.
Yeah. Not great. Again, good.
LaMelo Ball looking like his brother. 1 for 15.
Which is hilarious. I have a little Ball brother tidbit coming up for you after we move on from the games.
Yeah, so from here, like I said, we are getting into an easier month as we turn into February. It starts out with Sacramento and then 2 games against Orlando. I don't know what to make of the Sacramento team at all. I mean, they're bad. They've been bad, which surprises me because they have put together a few consistent seasons. But as we've talked about, like this Cavs team can lose to anybody.
They can. Sacramento is a bad team. They have some talented players, but frankly, they're one of the worst teams, at least in the West, if not in the NBA. They're a bit of a mess most of the season. I know they have a few wins lately, but yeah, definitely not. It's a game I wish I could sit here and say I'm super confident about, but all I could say is the Cavs should absolutely take care of business in this game. Will they? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's the they should. But from there you get into Orlando, which feel like it's been a while since we've met Orlando. Or is it the first time we played them this season? It is the first time we played them this season.
Yeah, it's one of the weird ones that all the games against them are in the back half for some reason. I mean, it's just the way it falls, I guess. But yeah, Orlando, they have also really struggled, though they just got Franz Wagner back, who for my money is their best player, and was having an all-star caliber season before he got hurt and missed like 5 or 6 weeks. I believe it was a knee sprain that he had. And he just came back with their games in Germany. They just split a doubleheader in Germany against Memphis. And so, might not be catching them at the best time if they're getting fully healthy, but they've kind of had a pretty similar season to the Cavs. They've had some injuries and a lot of inconsistent play, and have frankly played below expectations. A lot of things that sound familiar to us Cleveland fans.
I mean, it's probably why they have a pretty similar record. I mean, they don't have as many games in as the Cavs, but they're sitting at 23-19. Cavs are sitting at 25-20. So these teams are kind of right at each other, just like you said, season-wise with injury, and I don't think they've really found their momentum yet either.
Yeah, I don't. It'll be it'll be some interesting games. We'll see. If it doesn't seem like Garland will be back by the weekends to play in these games, I feel like I would doubt it. Hopefully Sam Merrill can be back. We've heard less about him, more that it's a day-to-day thing, but the last time he was day-to-day, he missed a month. So we'll see. At the very least, it would be really good to get Sam back for these games because of all the things he does. He doesn't help as much necessarily, handling the ball and everything, but he is very good at like taking care of the ball, not doing too much. Obviously, the shooting he adds, the very solid defense he adds. So if we get news that Sam is back by the games this weekend, I would I'd feel much better.
Yeah, I'd agree. The other thing I would feel better about is Donovan Mitchell getting an all-star start, which he got, in my opinion, snubbed, but obviously as a Cavs fan who's watched every single game, I'm going to feel that way. But
yeah,
to have him get snubbed, and who else didn't get it?
No, it was really, there were 6 guys that you looked to be the starters, and he ended up being the odd man out. And we're actually going to go through some of it because some of the all-star stuff, just for more comedy's sake. But before we do that, we could talk about Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, he was 6th in player voting, 6th in fan voting, and 6th in media voting. So we can say he's snubbed. I obviously think with you that Donovan Mitchell is deserving of an all-star starter, but like the voting was incredibly in all 3 phases. He was basically the 6th man as far as all-stars go. If you're going to, like, my honest opinion is like Cade Cunningham, like the guys who have to start, Giannis, unless you're going to punish him for missing some time, he's having as good a season as he's ever had. And then Cade Cunningham has been absolutely unbelievable. And he gets the spot that Donovan got last year as a starter because he's the best player on the best team in the league. So I don't think you can really talk Donovan above either of those. I honestly think, and so the other guys, Jaylen Brown, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and Jalen Brunson. The only one I would really argue Mitchell over, if I'm trying to be objective, is Jalen Brunson.
That's who I was going to say.
For a couple of reasons. I think you could say their offense production is pretty similar, and Brunson is one of the single worst defenders in the whole league. So if you're going to put Mitchell in, I would be fine with it. Being objective, I think he very well could have been the fifth starter with Brunson being the odd man out. Donovan being the odd man out, still being an all-star, it goes down as another all-star game for him. They don't even really keep track of who was a starter and who wasn't. So,
they do when you're LeBron.
Well, okay. That there's different rules when it comes to LeBron. But a couple of all-star things that I find interesting. So I find very interesting. I always look just out of curiosity at the players voting for like who the players vote for, who they think is an all-star, and honestly, how serious the players take it, because there's a lot of shenanigans that go on in the player voting. So the stuff that I was more raised my eyebrow from a non-comedic level, Evan Mobley was the 25th ranked player in voting for all-star starters. 25th. Wow. I think Mobley is disappointed this year. I don't think he is disappointed that much. He obviously is not an all-star starter. I honestly don't even know that he deserves to be on the team, but 25th is definitely too low, especially when you see that like one vote past him, or both Darius Garland and Jared Allen had one less vote than him to be an all-star, and he has obviously produced a lot more than Garland or Allen has this year. So I found that kind of interesting. But when we're moving on to the comedy portion of the player voting for the all-star game, I'm going to pose this as a question to you. So the core four, those are the four guys that got the most votes to be a starter from the players in the NBA. Which Cav do you think got the fifth most votes to be an all-star starter?
My guess would be Jalen Tyson.
You would be incorrect. The correct answer is Larry Nance Jr. got 5 votes to be an all-star starter, followed by Thomas Bryant with three votes to be an all-star starter. And then Lonzo Ball with 2 votes to be an all-star starter. Jalen Tyson also had 2. DeAndre Hunter had 1. I think the saddest thing in the league is when you get 1 vote, because you are allowed to vote for yourself, and it most likely means you voted for yourself and no one else did. Or if you're Lonzo Ball and you and your brother voted for you, and those are where your 2 votes came from. I find a lot of this stuff funny, and the funniest thing to me is also when players that are clearly deserving of being an all-star, but the players kind of vote them way down, mostly because they don't like the guy. The number one example of it this year is enemy of our podcast, Alfred Şengün. Alfred Şengün he is going to be an all-star reserve for sure. He was 10th in fan voting and 13th in the media voting. The players voted him the 32nd best likely to be an all-star starter, simply because he is hated around the league, because he is the dirtiest. He is the highest combination. He is the highest sum of dirty player and whiner in the entire league. And that doesn't get you favor when it comes to NBA players all-star voting. So yeah, I always find it funny to see who gets votes and who doesn't. You'll see some very random guys like Jay Huff ended up with 11 votes to be an all-star starter from the players, Aaron Nesmith, which tells me like at least the Pacers are aligned. They all voted for each other to be all-star starters. But yeah, just kind of find it comical, and the fact that Lonzo Ball ended up with two votes is hilarious.
Yeah, that is. I actually didn't know that they published the the player voting, and I'm looking
Yeah,
at it
they
now
do it
for
very
the first time.
quietly. They do it quietly because they don't want to make a big thing about it, but it always turns in. If you want to hear a lot of like chatter and dissection of the players' votes for All Star, head over to your favorite Reddit NBA page, and you'll find plenty of that over there.
Shoot. So yeah, I mean, we'll be back on
What about Dad's
Sunday.
talking Cavs?
Oh, we're getting there. We'll be back on
Okay.
Sunday, but before we get out of here, on our Wednesday shows, we like to close with Dad's Talking Cavs. This is your free parenting advice. Your dad wins, your dad fails. Take it from us. Kevin, what do you got?
Mine this week is a tip for all parents, especially parents of kids around my age or coming up on my older daughter's 5 and a kindergartner now. If your kids have an unexpected day off of school, like they were off school on Tuesday for an in-district day, which is super inconvenient. You know, a lot of parents are working, but a lot of us work from home. Trying to manage your kids, especially at that age where they want you to entertain them and everything, is really difficult. You could hire a babysitter, but I have an even better idea than a babysitter. Literally just let them have a friend over. Because if they have one friend over, they will entertain themselves the whole day. They won't ask you for anything for hours until they get hungry. And then you saved yourself the money on the babysitter. Before you know it, it's 4:30, 5 o'clock. You're ready to quit work. The parents are picking up their other daughter, and you've survived the day, and you still have the $100+ in your pocket that you would have paid someone to watch her that day.
That's awesome. That's smart. You know, and to them, it feels like a treat. You're like, I don't have to go to school and I get a friend over. This is the best day ever.
100%. And I got her to clean her room so that she was allowed to have a friend over. So, you know, you're one of those rare all-encompassing wins for the dads.
That's awesome. For me, Kevin, are you a Lego person?
I mean, I like them, but I wouldn't say I'm a aficionado by any means.
Did you have Legos growing up?
Some, I had some, but I was more the creative kid that I just wanted like kind of the standard Legos and create things on my own than the kits
Same.
they have nowadays.
Those kits are horrible. We got my son one of them because we were at the Lego store or the mall or something like that. I forget. We got him one, and now that's what he wants is more of those.
Mm-hmm.
Those little, like, one was like a donut car that had 250 pieces. And you know who's putting 250 pieces of Lego together? This guy. And then it just keeps expanding and going more. Like, my wife got him a double-decker, like a British double-decker bus. 375 pieces. Don't get your kids into Legos.
No, get them magnet tiles instead. Magnet tiles are awesome and kids love them, and they're
Agreed.
way less cumbersome and everything. I'm with you. I like the Legos where you can be creative and stuff. The same thing. My daughter loves the magnet tiles, loves building towers and castles and everything with those and using her own imagination. I think like putting together the kits just turns into a chore, and like you said, too often turns into a chore for the parent.
Oh, he loves playing with them afterwards. And we have the magnet tiles, and we have like the big beefy like toddler Legos. He makes towers out of those. But yeah, no more Legos. This is horrible. We're stopping this before we get too far down the road.
Yep, for sure. It's probably a good move because you either stop it now or you end up with dozens of those things all over your house.
Oh my God, they're already all over my house. It's horrible. So for Kevin and Skylar, thank you guys for tuning in for another edition of the Block the Shot the Stop. Like I said, we'll be back on Sunday to recap those games and look ahead. Please follow us on all of the social medias. We love fan interaction. We love connecting with fans. Subscribe to us here on YouTube as we keep trying to grow our channel on YouTube and keep expanding on that content, as well as subscribe to the audio version of this podcast. It's absolutely free. It helps out a ton. Be a friend, tell a friend. We're just Cavs fans trying to make good content for other Cavs fans. So for Kevin Lynch, I'm Skylar Wepker. We're going to head up out of here. And as always,
go Cavs.